This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Oh my God!
Welcome to the only wrestling podcast in town, bringing the intensity like the Macho Man Randy Savage dropping an elbow, ooh yeah, from the top rope. I am the Jock, and that is the Doc. Welcome to the DocNJock Wrestling Show. Now, the way I understand this, the Doc is extremely pissed off today, and I guess he's going to tell us why. He expected something, and he did not get what he expected. So what's going on, brother?
Bro, I was hyped for Survivor Series. I was excited all day. They gave you the 2-hour pre-show. I was excited for the matchup. I felt like Raw was going to take it down, and it ended up being 4-3. I got some matches wrong. I got out the mix wrong, but it ended up being 4-3. But what went down in terms of the final two matches really pissed me the fuck off, and I'm going to tell you why. Because of the fact that the final two matches in a card really dictate how the card is, okay?
Right.
And so at that point in time, the pay-per-view was decent. There were good matches. It was entertaining. And then it's 3-3. Okay, I'm like, perfect. 3-3. Let's now have the Raw 5-on-5 against SmackDown, the traditional Survivor Series matchup. It's 3-2, I mean, at this point in time. And what match pops up? AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. They started doing the promo for it. And I said, no, absolutely not. You can't. Because it's 3-2, the story wrote itself. Right then and there, once they put that match second to last, and it was 3-2 SmackDown with the Edge, I felt like I knew already AJ Styles was going to lose. And I said, oh, great. So then it plays out. The match is great, and we'll talk about the card in a few seconds. Then you get to the main event, okay? And you got these old-timers, and is it 2017 or 2007? You got Randy Orton, John Cena, and Triple H hogging the main event, and you buried a bunch of NXT champions early in the card. So I said to myself, who the fuck is writing this card? Who? If I would have saw that, you know.
Triple H is.
Yeah, if I'm seeing that and I'm looking at that and I'm Vince McMahon and I go, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, these guys are all going out first in this match. What the hell are you doing? I like the fact that they started teasing dream matchups, but to have a 45-minute match and to have these guys go out that way, I would have done it. I would have wrote it much differently. I would have had the dream matchups go later in the matchup. If you're going to go 45 minutes, you have Triple H, John Cena, Kurt Angle all get eliminated, and you have these guys battle it out. You can have Shinsuke and Finn right there in the match at the end of the match. You know how hyped the crowd would have been if that was on the line. I felt like it was a major disappointment knowing that AJ was going to lose right then and there. I mean, I think you would have really had everybody pop had you just have SmackDown win the event. Have AJ win the match, and then it would have been 4-2, and then you could do all that stupid stuff that he did in the main event. I felt like Survivor Series was ruined. I didn't like the way it played out at all. I was sitting there left at that point. I tweeted out, I said, what the hell? I hope I'm wrong, but I already know. The most smart marks knew right away, oh, okay. I mean, if you're just a basic fan of wrestling, you knew that SmackDown was going to lose that match, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. So it soured the entire event for me, and then the way the main event played out absolutely pissed me off. And I said to myself, I can't believe this is how they chose to end the 2017 Survivor Series. I felt like 2016's main event was better.
All right, so we're going to get into the Survivor Series. We're going to break the entire thing down. Before all that, though, I want to get your thoughts on NXT TakeOver War Games. Did you enjoy that?
I did. Like I said, for me, I don't check into NXT a whole heck of a lot, but oh my goodness, the players in the War Games match, unbelievable. Adam Cole's entrance was fun.
He's the truth, isn't he?
He's the truth. They put on a great show. I mean, I'm more of a traditionalist. I would have liked to have seen the Roof, the traditional War Games match, but Triple H did a great job. I mean, it's been 20 years since they did it, and the match played out great. I was entertained. I guess some future superstars are coming up that I got introduced to, so I felt like, all in all, NXT, for what it's worth, it's entertaining. Quick 2 hours, you handle your business, great matchups. I was thoroughly entertained by War Games.
What did you think about Drew McIntyre?
Oh, that was unfortunate. I did like him.
He was supposed to get called up. I believe he was going to SmackDown. I can't confirm that, but I believe he was going to get called up and go to SmackDown. That's why he dropped the belt.
Injured.
Yeah, he has a bicep tear. He is outstanding to watch in the ring. He can cut a really good promo too. I watched him when he was in TNA. I thoroughly enjoyed him. I thought he was great. Now, you got acquainted with somebody new, Velveteen Dream. Did you like him? He went all Ravishing Rick Rude.
He did. I didn't like the entrance. I was like, who the hell is this Velveteen Dream?
You sent me a message. You're like, who the hell is Velveteen Dream?
I liked his opponent much better.
Aleister Black is awesome.
Dude, that guy's the truth. And I guess his speech at the end of the match really went over well and say, okay, you want me to say my name? I guess that was the build-up throughout the entire build-up for that matchup. It's like, fine, you want me to say my name? I just made you a legend.
Yep.
And it was a good match. I felt like it lived up to the hype. I guess he's a good wrestler, this Velveteen Dream. I just don't like the gimmick. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff.
The build for it was outstanding because all Velveteen Dream wanted was for Aleister Black to say his name. And Aleister Black would sit in the middle of the ring. And if you've ever watched Aleister Black, he's kind of a brooding character, very quiet, doesn't say a whole lot. He's very intense, and he's pretty intimidating. He sits in the middle of the ring with his legs crossed on his butt, and he refers to him as Patrick. Patrick's his real name. So he always calls him Patrick, would never call him by his stage name, Velveteen Dream. And that would infuriate Velveteen Dream. And that was the build-up, like you said. It was outstanding. All right, so let's fast forward. Let's get into Survivor Series and what you thought about it and what really pissed you off. I mean, I know you already kind of highlighted some of it, but what did you think about the 5-man announcing booth? I mean, I'm kind of a traditionalist. I usually like 2 guys going back and forth. Usually less is more. They loaded up with 5 guys.
There's a lot of talking.
Over.
Yeah, it was a lot of talking, a lot of analysis. So for me, I tried to tune it out as much as I could because I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was too much. It's hard because when you have that many guys, everybody wants to get their time in, and inevitably what ends up happening is people start talking over each other, and it's hard as a fan. So I was just focused on the matchup, and I felt like opening the card with the Shield and the New Day, absolutely perfect.
See, what I think they could have did with that 5-man booth is they could have set it up with Corey Graves because he's outstanding, and then had both Michael Cole and Todd Phillips, and let them call action, just kind of splitting it back and forth with Corey Graves doing the commentary. Now, you're right. The curtain jerk was phenomenal. The Shield versus the New Day, incredible match. Incredible.
Solid.
It was outstanding. I think the most impressive part of the entire match, though, was Big E picking up both Rollins and Ambrose on his shoulders for the midnight hour. What did you think about that? I thought it was great.
Ooh, it showed Big E's strength. And really, we don't talk about Big E being a performer. I know that sometimes you get swallowed up by a gimmick and the New Day entertainment side, but if you just break down what Big E does in the ring, solid performer. I really do think that he acquaints himself well to the ring, and for a big man to move like that, it's unbelievable. But for me, I thought the ending was much better. I liked the triple powerbomb. I liked that much better in terms of setting it up, back and forth action, having Roman Reigns at the top of the rope, and then you have the other two, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, hold up. Big E, I think it was, who took the slam, and bam, you slam him into the mat. I thought the ending was absolutely awesome.
All right, so after that, we move on to the women's elimination match, which we see Becky Lynch and Bayley get bounced really early. They were the
surprising,
surprise.
huh?
Yeah, they got kicked out super fast. Like, I think Becky Lynch was only in there for like a minute. It just in and out real quick. And then we have some sloppy back and forth going on with Naomi and Alicia Fox. What surprised you about this match? And did they get it right as Asuka was the last woman standing?
I think they got it absolutely right. You want to showcase Asuka. I think it was good in terms of the storyline where I think throughout the night you had Raw getting the early momentum, and then you had SmackDown coming back and winning 3 straight. So having it play out that way, I had no problems with it at all. I felt like each woman acquainted themselves pretty well. You have to have some surprises here and there in some of these Survivor Series matchups. But once it was down to Asuka alone with the rest of the females, you knew it was time for her to kick ass, and she did it pretty quickly too.
Yeah, she's impressive. Look, they did her no favors by putting her in against Emma and making her struggle her way through those matches with Emma. But now they've got everything righted, and they're booking her correctly, which is awesome. Next, we go to I think, a surprise match. This is one that we both got wrong. Baron Corbin ends up beating The Miz.
Good. I think it was good.
You thought that was good?
That's how you get somebody over, because The Miz now is at a point where he's an established star. He can be used to get people over. And if you want to get a guy over like a Baron Corbin, you got to have him get this victory. And it really did showcase his wrestling skills. I thought they told a great story. It was very entertaining to watch. And then at the end, I thought it was great when he defeated The Miz. He comes out and basically uses The Miz's saying against him and says, look, when my hand goes up, your mouth went shut. And he told everybody out there in the universe that, hey, I'm here. I'm for real. It was surprising, and I think that was a good thing for this card.
Yeah, Baron Corbin, I like Baron Corbin when he's not super scripted. When Baron Corbin just kind of go, like when they were doing the talking smack segment, I thought he was pretty decent there, and you got to see him be a little bit more true to himself. I enjoyed that more. His overly scripted promos, I can't stand. So after that, we go to the Usos, who end up beating up the Bar. It was a very good match. After that, we've got Charlotte, who submits Alexa Bliss in a match that seemed to not really fit the card. It just seemed kind of like it was a whatever match. It almost felt out of place.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it took off. It was a good match. You maybe had felt like these ladies could do a little bit more with it. Sometimes you do have some matchups that just get swallowed up by a card, and sometimes this is the case. Both women did well. I felt like Charlotte was going to go over. I think Charlotte did a great job of selling Alexa Bliss's moves, and so Alexa is believable, and so I want to see more of them. I'd like to see more of these matchups between these two. I thought it was an entertaining matchup, but yeah, it did get swallowed up in between some quality matchups.
So now, after we have the women's match, the card kind of just starts to turn for you a little bit, and this is where you start to get a little bit upset as AJ Styles takes on Brock Lesnar.
Terrible timing. You can't have that match there at that spot. You don't, because everybody there wanted to believe that AJ was going to win. Okay? Now, we banter back and forth. We felt like AJ was going to lose. Okay? But once you have 3-2 SmackDown with the lead and you got the Raw match next, everybody knew, it just popped the balloon for me because there was no chance in hell that AJ was going to win that. And so you suspended the disbelief. And so right then and there, for anybody that was smart, that watches wrestling, you ruined the belief and hype. So what you do is you have Raw. I mean, literally, it's just flip the. It doesn't make any sense. You have Raw win, which most people thought was going to happen. You have Raw win. Now it's 3-3. Now you have AJ Styles in that match, and you hype up that belief a little bit more. And that finish, the phenomenal forearm finish, could have been more believable. When he did it was like, oh man, Brock's going to kick out. And so you basically knew, okay, when the move was hit, he's not gonna get pinned for it. So you waited for him to do it again, and then you knew, he's gonna do it again. He's gonna fall. I mean, literally, I was telling my wife, like, look, he's gonna do it again and just get caught in the F5. It's like literally writable, and you don't want to do that in a card, especially to a lot of your fans, because I know Survivor Series is a big four, and you get a lot of non-casual fans, but the majority of people there are hardcore fans. Literally, did you not know what I was writing and believe that AJ was gonna lose? You knew it right away. Yeah. It was done. It was written in stone.
Yeah.
But in the end, though, watching that match, it was a dream matchup. Just, AJ worked his ass off, made Brock work, and that's fine. But in the end, it did kind of suffer a little bit with AJ's little bit shorter stature. I just felt like Brock is too big for this matchup. I mean, we could see it again, but I just wasn't left feeling like AJ's legitimately better than Brock Lesnar. It did what it was supposed to do. Really, match of the night. It was high quality. AJ just is the shit. When he goes into the ring, he can make anybody look good, like I've said, repeated. He's the best wrestler in the world. Paul Heyman said it. Everybody that watched that match sees, wow. Even Brock worked this match. He sold some things, but it's just not believable that AJ could beat Brock. It's not. I mean, I was hoping, just a little part of me was hoping, okay, AJ's slick. He's smart. Just roll out Gallows and Anderson. Do some shenanigans, reform the club. You could have even introduced the feud with Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar by just having, you just came off of a great matchup where these two guys became allies. You don't want to peek into that a little bbit, have Finn Balor stroll down to the ring and maybe hold up Brock Lesnar. If you wanted AJ to win, you could have did that at the end and maybe tease the club. Maybe not all the way do it, but the way you'd write it is you have Finn kind of come in, hold up Brock for a second, let AJ get some moves off and do some things, maybe cost Brock that victory, and then you pan over and Finn's looking at Brock, give maybe a too sweet sign to AJ as the event ends. You could have did so much more that was better than what you did, and so that's why I was so fucking pissed and disappointed, because you could have went 8-9 different ways other than what you did, which was the most disappointing, and that's what sucked.
Speaking of the match, it starts off with Lesnar just tossing AJ around.
That was cool. AJ sells like the man.
Just bumping hard and just gets manhandled by Brock. Then AJ, in the middle of it, kind of starts to build a little bit of offense, and he's really taking it to Brock. Ends up putting him in the calf crusher, which Lesnar ends up selling later on. Goes to finish with a phenomenal forearm. Lesnar catches him in an F5, and that's the most protected move in all of WWE until WrestleMania 34, when Roman Reigns will kick out of it. In the end, do you think AJ Styles comes out looking stronger in defeat in this match?
Of course. AJ, I don't know how you make him look stronger. He's believable as a superstar.
He's the best guy they got.
And then you did it perfectly by having AJ come to the ring on SmackDown and having a promo with Paul Heyman saying, look, this guy is the best. even calling out the names of a Shawn Michael, a Bret Hart, saying this guy is Ric Flair. This guy is on that level, and the fans believe it. They know it. They want to see him go to that next stratosphere. And I don't think a feud with Jinder is. I mean, right now it's a little bit disappointing that AJ's on SmackDown because he's like the big fish in a little pond. I mean, Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens has already been a feud with them. I think it would have been a nice time maybe to have AJ switch over to Raw.
Don't worry about it. There will be a trade coming very shortly.
Please trade.
There will be a trade coming.
Get AJ on Raw.
Maybe there'll be. I don't think AJ's going anywhere.
Yeah,
but they might get some guys over onto SmackDown. So after this match, we then have the Raw versus SmackDown men's match, which
disappointing.
Really pissed you off.
Great to see all the entrances, but the writing of the matchup, the way it went down, absolutely stupid. I mean, first and foremost, why do you have John Cena in the match if he's going to get eliminated that early? Why have John Cena?
He showed up, got beat, and then left.
Andrea was dying laughing. She goes, "What the?" She literally said, "What the hell's up with that SmackDown team?" She looked at it and said, "It's like the midgets versus the strong guys. It's like you had Randy Orton, you had Cena, but the rest, Rude, Nakamura, it just didn't kind of seem like they belonged in a matchup like that." And she said, "Well, why isn't Kevin Owens in this?" And I said, "It's storyline related." She goes, "Duh, they needed to have Kevin Owens in this match the worst way."
2007 called.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They want their wrestlers back. But extremely frustrating watching this because you got a guy like a Finn Balor who's super over. A guy like Nakamura who used to be super over until you booked him like crap. A guy like Bobby Roode whose shine hasn't worn off yet because Vince hasn't ruined it yet. And Samoa Joe who's probably the most over out of all four of these guys. Yet they have to go in the ring and they've got to do a job for a guy like a John Cena, a Randy Orton, and a Triple H. What?
Oh,
what
God.
are we doing?
Oh.
Like, put new guys over. This is how you build new stars. You're not building new stars. All you're doing is you're inflating the old guys that you have who are part-time workers, who don't even show up for SmackDown, who don't show up for Raw, who can't be bothered to sit there and come and do stuff because they're all filming movies.
I didn't think I could care less about Triple H and Kurt Angle. I mean, that's how you ended it with Triple H turning on Kurt Angle, eliminating him, and then making you believe that he turned on Braun Strowman, only then to kick his brother-in-law and do the pedigree and end the match. It was cool if the intention was to put over Braun Strowman as a monster, but he's already been that. So you didn't need the rub off of Triple H to get that. So it just, a lot of people were like, you needed to put these young guys over. This was not anywhere near what it could have been in terms of excitement, dream matchups. You set it up, and it was too long too. I mean, literally, you knew it was like 10. It was like 10:10, and they were doing the entrances. You're like, damn, this match is going to go on for like damn near 40 minutes. So it was a little bit slow paced. It was nice to see some of the dream matchups. It was nice to see it come full circle with Cena and Kurt Angle in that ring. But Kurt Angle, for me, in terms of his performance, looked a little bit slow. A couple times he picked up some of the wrestlers, and he looked like one beat too slow, and trying to do some of the.
Triple H looked a little bit old.
They look older, and it just didn't come off as right. I mean, we all knew Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to get involved and cost him that matchup.
Did you like that when they came out and then Shane just
predictable.
annihilated him with a chair?
It's predictable. I mean, no, I didn't like it. I felt like at this point in time, I feel like SmackDown probably deserved to win. I mean, you could have set up the angle a lot of different ways. I mean, you could have had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens not come to the ring, just not be involved at all. That would have been a swerve because we all expected it. You could have had even Shane McMahon, come up with some shenanigans of his own, bring out someone new and maybe help him out from the back or from NXT. A little bit of me was like, oh man, if CM Punk came back, that'd be really full circle.
Sweet.
I was just thinking like other ways other than how they did it. But I feel like the finish ruined the match and it ruined the Survivor Series because last year's match was better than this by far.
And speaking of the finish, it comes down to Braun Strowman, Triple H, and Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So Angle gets the ankle lock on Shane, and he's got it on there for a long time. Triple H obviously gets bored, comes in and attacks Kurt, pedigrees him, throws Shane on top. 1, 2, 3. Kurt's now eliminated. At this point, Triple H goes over, and it looks like they've turned on Braun. Instead, boots him in the gut and pedigrees Shane. Shane gets beat. 1, 2, 3. And then Braun at this point is a legit face now. He is a baby face. He is a baby face monster. He's no longer a heel. He is a baby face. He ends up, Triple H grabs him by the hand. They go to celebrate. He ends up looking at Triple H and stares Triple H down. He ends up doing a monstrous running power slam to end the entire thing. At this point, Braun Strowman is a face. And this is how we end up going off the air is with Triple H in the ring after getting power slammed. Pay-per-view results, you end up getting 4 out of 7 matches right. We both got The Miz versus Corbin wrong. You got the Usos versus The Bar wrong, and SmackDown Women versus Raw Women incorrect. I got The Miz versus Corbin. So in our new tally of pay-per-view rights and wrongs, I take the lead 1-0.
Good for you, brother. We called it. I got it right. I should give myself a little credit for saying that Raw was going to win 4-3, which they did. I just got all the combination wrong, and I think my combination was a lot better. Shit, I would have wrote it. I just wrote it so much better. God, so disappointing. I was excited for it. For a 4-hour pay-per-view, I don't like feeling like I wasted my time, and I felt like, man, I should have DVR'd this nonsense and just followed along with the results because I just wanted to see AJ win. But I didn't want to know in advance that he was going to lose. And when you do that, you have to have some disbelief.
Yeah.
You had to at least set up a little bit of chance that AJ was going to win. You didn't at all, so you failed.
It's frustrating, especially when it's a big card like that, and you're like going into it. We were super hyped for this.
Yeah,
like we thought this was going to be great, and
not so great,
not so much. So now we go on to Monday night. Raw opens up with Stephanie, Triple H, and a very angry Kurt Angle who gets in Triple H's face. This is then interrupted by Jason Jordan, who demands a match with Triple H. This is then interrupted by Braun Strowman, who gets in the face of Triple H, and they basically have a stare down. Triple H and Stephanie end up cowering away from Braun, get out of the ring. Stephanie then makes a match for Braun to face Jason Jordan later on in the evening.
Another long promo.
Yes.
Yay. I did like the fans that were chanting, "You're a coward."
That
to
was
Triple
pretty
H.
great.
So
the Houston crowd was awesome.
They were good
weekend.
all week.
They were awesome.
It was okay. Set up the show. That's what you're going to do.
Yep. So then we go on to Finn Balor versus Samoa
God,
Joe.
Again.
But they have a good match.
They always have good matches.
They have a really good match. It ends with Joe choking out Finn with the coquina clutch. Now, here's the thing, right? So at Royal Rumble, it was supposed to be Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. If you've noticed, Paul Heyman has mentioned Finn Balor in just about every promo he's done, even going so far as to compare AJ Styles and Finn Balor to each other before the match with AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. So apparently Vince has had a change of heart. He has now scrapped that plan. We're probably going to get Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar coming up at Royal Rumble, and then you'll have your WrestleMania, which will be Roman Reigns beating Brock Lesnar for the title to be the Galactic Champion of the world when he kicks out of the F5, the only man to ever kick out of the F5. So that has been scrapped. It looks like Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe is the direction we're going to end up going for Royal Rumble, so you've got to deal with it now for at least another couple months. So good luck with all that.
Okay.
So now we come back from a commercial. Jason Jordan is trying to get out of his match with Braun, claiming he's still hurt. He gives himself a quick pump-up speech, and then he ends up running off. We now go back to the ring, and Asuka and Dana Brooks are getting ready to do battle. They go back and forth for a little bit, and then Asuka just turns it on and kills her. After that, we then go to Miz TV, and this is where I think Raw kind of starts to pick up a little bit. I think it starts to get really interesting here. So now we go to Miz TV, and Miz is hosting Roman Reigns, but as we come back, he's calling out Reigns. Reigns doesn't come out, calls him out again, doesn't come out, calls him out one more time, doesn't come out. Next thing you know, the Shield music's hit, and then the Shield comes through the crowd. They go to the ring, and at this point, Miz starts berating the Shield and says, "Hey, I want to thank you. I also want a merch check from you guys for all your gear. I'm the reason you guys are together. I am the deal. It's this, that, and the other thing." Through all of this, Roman ends up laying down a challenge to The Miz for the Intercontinental Belt, the one championship he has not yet acquired. And what ends up happening from here, there is a match that gets scheduled for later on in the evening, Roman Reigns versus The Miz, and that will be your main event for the evening. Sheamus and Dean have a good back-and-forth match after all of this. This match ends with Ambrose winning with the Dirty Deeds. We then get a segment that is so bipolar.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated the beginning of it. I absolutely loved the end of it.
Of course.
Okay? So we have this awful promo segment that leads to a fatal four-way with Bayley, Sasha, Mickey, and Alicia Fox. This is garbage.
Garbage.
Just the promos,
Thumbs down.
them going back and forth. It was so bad, so poorly organized. It was just, it fell so flat, right? In the match.
Terrible.
Nobody wanted to see. Did you want to see this match?
No.
Nobody wants to see this match. We've seen this match. But it gets better because it gets interrupted by Paige. And I want to put Paige over here, all right? She comes out and she cuts one of the greatest promos I've seen a woman cut in a long, long time. She was so comfortable on the mic. She interrupts everything. She stops all the action, and she's like, "I'm back." It was so great. And then through the crowd, she's got a crew with her. So
she's got a crew.
Apparently, she's the ringleader. It's Mandy Rose and her camel toe. I don't know if you picked up on the camel toe. CT was definitely in the house.
Nice.
So Mandy Rose is the blonde. And then Sonya Deville, who's a lesbian and who I've got a major crush on. She's smoking hot. She's the MMA chick. All right, they come in and they clean house. All of them clean house on all the women in the ring.
It was awesome.
Dude, it was great. I absolutely love this segment. This is what saved Raw for me.
Exactly.
This got it back on track.
Exactly. And I think they delayed her just enough so we forget all the scandals.
Yeah.
It's in the back of your mind, but it's nice to see because it's been over a year now.
Dude,
since
she is so fluid on the microphone.
She's
in
good,
the ring.
and she's now back in the mix.
Forget how good she was.
She deserves to be in that ring, and we can forget about all the nonsense and shenanigans. Just get over and do your thing, girl, and let's go see it. It would have been kind of cool just to reference the past, maybe a little bit of spray paint on the back, a little bit, just to kind of reference it, tease it a little bit, and be like, where have I seen that before? But it's nice to see, some girl groups kick ass.
Yeah.
It's different, and it was nice to see because we now get to see Paige in her element. We get to see the debut of these two young ladies, and I like the fact that they were able to destroy that matchup because it was
awful.
They needed to be interrupted, and by interrupting it that way, best thing possible.
Yes, best thing possible. Best thing possible. They then cut to the back where they come back from commercial. They cut to the back in Paige, in Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville, then beat down Alexa Bliss, which was even more awesome.
Yep.
It was great. Just the interaction the four of them had, and then just the ensuing beatdown. I thought it was great. We then go to Braun and Jason Jordan. They have a match. It's there. Jason Jordan ends up picking up Braun and then sells his knee injury.
Yep.
Kane interferes, thankfully, so we don't have to watch this anymore. Ends up looking like he breaks Braun's larynx with a chair. We then have Enzo and his cruiserweight cronies. They lose in a 10-man tag match. I didn't need to see any of that. Elias comes down. He does a real good job being a heel. I was impressed with this.
Yes.
I was very impressed with Elias's ability to sit there and be comfortable on the mic, be a heel. Matt Hardy comes out, and the two just kind of brawl in the ring. It was basically time filler.
Matt Hardy, Elias seems like a natural feud that you can do some things with, and you help get over a guy like Elias, continued feud, and that's a good feud for him. Matt Hardy's there now is basically a very popular enhancement talent, and you could
which
do
is
some
unfortunate because if you go back 6 months and you look at where he came from, actually you go back almost a year.
That's what he was
look
brought
at where
for.
He came from.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate though.
Yep.
His gimmick when he was broken, he was so over. It was great. All right, fast forward to the main event now. Roman Reigns versus The Miz for the IC belt. Were you surprised that Roman came out? He wore basically his old Roman vest. He came out to his old Roman music, did not wear any of the Shield gear, and did not come out to the Shield entrance. Did this surprise you at all? It surprised me just a little bit.
You still want to establish Roman as his own guy, basically as the leader of the Shield, and he's got his own gimmick, and he's got his own thing as well, so not surprised at all. I mean, they're featured in Miz TV. Now the Shield has gear, and it's fine. I had no problem with it.
What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was okay. I was excited. I liked the fact that the crowd, along the way, while it was anti-Roman to start, when he did actually win the match, they popped for him, and they did reveal that's the first title he had not won yet in the WWE. It's good. It's a natural end to the Miz's run, and sometimes you just got to go in the next direction, and I would like to see the Miz in new feuds, and to give a belt to Roman, he's always going to be around certain belts, and for him to be the Intercontinental Champion, let him have that belt until at least WrestleMania. And maybe even beyond, even a year reign, maybe. Let him have it. Let him go through some people and let him establish that belt as the quality belt as it is like The Miz did.
I was really surprised at how anti-Roman this crowd was at times, and then how pro-Miz they were. It was a total dichotomy. They were so hyped for Miz at certain points and so anti-Roman. And like you said, at the end, when the Shield came out to hand Roman the belt, it just kind of all softened a little bit. Overall, I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it. The Miz is going to go away, and he's going to end up filming the final Marine movie. I think it's like the Marine 5, so they had to take the strap off him. You give it to Roman. This has been kind of building and going on for a little bit now, so it's what it is.
Decent Raw and very enjoyable.
Yeah, I thought it was decent too. Let's jump over to SmackDown now. So Shane opened SmackDown, putting over the entire roster, except for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who he then calls out. KO and Sami Zayn then come down to the ring, and then they cut into Shane and claim that they could have beat everyone on the Raw roster, including Brock Lesnar, which I thought was funny.
That was funny. I thought it was good. I would have liked to have seen the payoff. I thought it would have been great had they been fired. I thought that was good. giving him a match at the end, it was okay. I mean, you always get a chance to see Daniel Bryan make some moves and make a decision, and it was like, oh, okay, good. You know, the roster will get some retribution, whether it be in real life or not, if there's really heat backstage. You know that in a lumberjack match that at some point Sami Zayn would get thrown to the outside and he'd take a licking, and so it was predictable. I would have liked to have seen the payoff because I do think that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would be a lot better suited on Raw. I do like.
Don't worry, they're going to get traded.
I hope this trade happens because I think a shakeup is good. I mean, every 6 months, maybe even every 4 months, you just make a move here and there, especially after SummerSlam or a Survivor Series. I like that you bring up some new people. That's fine, but also have some new people show up on these events. Like, because you're in the same city, why not have AJ Styles show up there and get the love? Why make us wait till Tuesday? It wasn't like he was wrestling anyway.
It's true. So, like you said, Daniel Bryan ends up coming out, sets up a match, a lumberjack match versus the New Day. We then move on to Shelton Benjamin taking on Jey Uso in singles competition. Chad Gable and Jimmy Uso go back and forth on the outside, while Jey misses a big spot off the top rope, which allows Shelton to capitalize and win. So now you're getting a little bit of a push to Shelton and Chad Gable.
Versus the Usos coming up. It was fine. It was a good match. I really liked the Usos' entrance. Really fits their personality to a T. These guys obviously have good matchups. Shelton Benjamin getting a win. No problem with it at all. I'm liking the development of this feud. I'm looking forward to seeing the payoff.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We then come back from commercial where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are trying to get someone to help out during the lumberjack match.
It was good.
They first go to Baron Corbin begging him, and he basically tells them to get lost. They then go to Bobby Roode.
That was
like,
good.
Are you absolutely crazy?
Do you remember where I was in that match? That was good.
So it was good. It was really good. We then get our next NXT call-up, and again, we're just filling out the women's roster, which is something that needed to be done for a long time.
Yeah.
We get Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Morgan, who end up jumping Naomi in the back there. They make their SmackDown debut. They also clean up on Becky Lynch. I was not a huge fan of this, and I was not a huge fan of this because I felt like it was just thrown together.
Exactly. That's how I felt because of the fact that I wanted to ask you, were Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Morgan a big part of NXT? Because I was watching it not with the volume turned all the way up with the announcers. I was kind of watching it passively. So at first I thought it was Paige's crew. I'm like, oh, sweet, they're kind of carrying it over. And if you watch the production of that, the camera was shaking all over the damn place, and they were showing. I'm like, who is that? Is that Paige? I'm like, wait a minute, that looks like a skinny Paige. I'm like, that's not Paige. But I got the names when they said it, but I think they said on the announce crew was these girls are from NXT. Were these three together in NXT? I didn't get the storyline. No. See, that's what I thought was like, I felt like they could have did a little bit better in this situation in that you kind of needed some explanation besides that they were from NXT, who these people are.
It was just tossed together. This is what I loved about what they did with Paige, and they did with Sonya Deville, and they did with Mandy Rose. There was something there. There was some context to it, right? It was set up. This was just a beatdown by three chicks from NXT
right.
who were just three chicks from NXT.
Right.
Like Ruby Riott was in the NXT Women's Championship scene for a little bit. Liv Morgan's been around for a little bit. You know, I have no idea who Sarah Morgan. I don't watch enough NXT to be able to let
exactly.
you know. But it was just done. It was just there.
And maybe when you're done, instead of just standing there and put your arms up in the air, grab the microphone. We're here to kick ass. We're the next shit in the WWE. Everybody take notice. We're this.
I needed some context.
A name.
I had
Call
no
yourself
context.
something.
Yeah.
You know?
Had absolutely zero context for any of this. So after all of this, Shane decides he's going to leave the arena, telling Daniel Bryan how great of an idea he had to set up that lumberjack match, and putting over the fact that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to get fired at the end of the match. Okay, so remember that.
Yep.
Remember that for later on tonight, or later on in this program. The Hype Bros come out to take on the Bludgeon Brothers, who make quick work in their debut. Did you like their entrance, the Bludgeon Brothers' entrance?
I thought that at the beginning when they debuted this kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, they're really going to mess this up. But I liked the entrance. I thought it was cool.
I liked their ring gear. Did you like the ring gear?
I liked their ring gear. I thought their whole presentation was cool. I felt like, okay, now you got a direction for these guys. They're quality mid-card. Mm-hmm. You can now establish them as an up-and-coming tag team. I like the Bludgeon Brothers.
Say that three times fast, right?
Bludgeon Brothers, baby. We're here.
The one thing I really enjoyed about this, and the one thing I took out of it, is how good Harper and Rowan both look. Like
Ooh,
they
in
both have
shape.
lost some weight.
Yes.
Dude, they look
Noticeably
they look
from across the
physically-
room.
Yeah.
I was in the kitchen grabbing a snack. I'm
Physically
like, whoa,
imposing.
they look faster, stronger, and a little bit more believable.
Yes, they look good. They took some time and they got themselves in some really good shape.
Poor Hype Brothers. They're just the jobbers now of SmackDown. I mean,
That relationship's going to end up breaking here very soon.
we need it to end up. Let's go. Maybe
Yeah.
even a Clash of Champions pre-show match. Come on, let's end this.
Something. So AJ Styles comes to the ring. He basically calls out Jinder. They end up setting a match for SmackDown's December pay-per-view, which is Clash of Champions. The Singh brothers end up jumping AJ, who then lays them out and sends a message to Jinder as he's about to sit there and hit the Styles Clash on, I don't know, Samir or Sanu, whatever. He ends up basically looking at
One of
Jinder
them.
like, it's going down, bro,
Right.
and ends up taking the guy out. We then have Charlotte versus Natty. This is a rematch from last week that ends with the NXT trio destroying the two of them. Again, they come through the crowd and they just beat the crap out of Charlotte and Natty. And again, no reasons given.
Right.
I have no idea what's going on here, why you're here, how you're here, what you're doing.
It's a terror group in WWE.
Right. They're terrorists. That's what it is.
It's the new NWO of SmackDown. What are you going to do?
So then we have the New Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the Lumberjack match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn get a huge win after a brawl breaks out with the Lumberjacks, which you kind of figured. In the end, Kevin Owens hightails it out, leaving Sami Zayn, who gets destroyed by the
good.
3 New Day members. So this now has you questioning, what the hell's going on with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Is there going to be some heat here? I personally felt like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to have something up their sleeve going into this match, and yet I got nothing. I got nothing, which I don't know what that says about me or what that says about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I mean, they're always doing something underhanded, so I always expect that from them, and I didn't get it. So I think that was good. It was a good non-payoff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought it was a good match overall. The way it ends, Kevin Owens ends up hightailing it to the back, finds Daniel Bryan, and he begs him not to fire him. And Daniel says, "I'm not firing you, but next week you got a match against Randy Orton." And so they don't get fired. And next week, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton have a fight. And this is funny because Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, if you follow both of them on Twitter, they go back and forth taking snipes at each other.
Yep.
And Randy Orton is really upset being the face character that he is. He wants to be a heel character because he's got to diet and train so much harder to be a face instead of a heel. Being a heel, he can kind of eat what he wants. He can dress a little sloppy. He can basically look like Kevin Owens. He doesn't have to be in the tip-top shape that he is, where his abs are a cheese grater. And so he takes snipes at Kevin Owens all the time, calling him fat and not going to the gym. And then they got kicked off the European tour, taking some shots at him there. So this is going to be an interesting match. I'm wondering how stiff of a match it's going to be, if there's going to be some snug punches or not.
It seems like the direction that's best for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens is to be the heel group of SmackDown. You always want to have the likes of ownership and management battle some wrestlers, and I guess the best way to utilize Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is to feud with Shane McMahon at this time. I mean, they feud with other wrestlers, but we got to have another payoff match, maybe at Clash of Champions. They end that feud going into the Royal Rumble, but it always seems like in WWE, there's always that feud of management or the authority or Shane McMahon versus somebody. And right now, it's Kevin Owens. I thought it would have ended soon after Hell in a Cell, after that brutal matchup. It didn't. It didn't get resolved at Survivor Series. It's been extended. That's fine. I just want now this to kind of end. I'm ready to see how this progresses and what's going to happen next. I think it's too soon to put Kevin Owens with AJ Styles. Maybe you reintroduce him back with Baron Corbin with Kevin Owens, but it was interesting because we'll talk about the future of Kevin Owens here after we talk about which show won, because after Survivor Series, there was an interesting program that debuted, and one that you got to watch because it revealed a lot of things of the inner workings of WWE. Which show was better, do you think? It's tough.
It
right?
is tough. I thought both really underperformed this week.
Yeah.
I thought Raw was saved by Paige's debut.
Yep.
And the 2 NXT call-ups. I thought that was awesome, and that's really helped save the show. I think overall, SmackDown was a little bit more concise.
Yep.
And I think it had a few more better matches.
Yep. No doubt about it. We can give the week to SmackDown. They both could have been better. The debuts were cool, but in terms of the storylines, probably we're not as interested as we could be. coming after a major pay-per-view like the Survivor Series. So we'll give the week to SmackDown, no doubt about it.
So Raw leads 6.5 to 5.5.
Okay, so after Survivor Series, they aired a new documentary on the WWE Network. It's called WWE 365. And what they did was, from August 2016 to August 2017, they recapped the year of Kevin Owens. And from time to time, they kind of like show you day one after they started interviewing him, and they just kind of tackle some big moments. So one of the biggest things that came out of this was Kevin Owens as a superstar battles himself. Like, he feels like he's a top-level star, and he's working through things, and he talks about like how he didn't really appreciate some of the time he spent with Chris Jericho in a tag match in 2016, because if you remember, it was Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho opening SummerSlam that time versus another tag team. And then he kind of talks about, well, I kind of feel like I'm at a different spot. I feel like I need to be, on the level of these badasses like John Cena, like Brock Lesnar. He wants to get there, and you could see his passion and how he battles his own mind, saying, I feel like I should be here. I feel like I should be there. And the highlight, though, was how much he loved and respected Vince McMahon. And he has this match with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, and he comes back, and what wrestlers do is they check in with Vince to see how they did, and Vince's reaction, really fascinating to get a good look. I'll play the clip.
Absolutely insane, but this was completely unexpected. You talk about shock and awe. The Hardys, the new number tag team champion, welcome home.
Vince did not like the match. It wasn't what he was looking for. He wasn't happy about it at all. And it was the first time I got back from the ring to Vince being so unhappy. And I took that as a failure.
A failure at Mania for any superstar is soul-crushing. Years of hard work and the last 8 months of great moments suddenly mean nothing.
So what happened was, he comes through the curtain, he's speaking at Vince McMahon. Typically, I guess some of the wrestlers would just ask, are we good? Yeah. And Vince looks over to him and is like, no. And he's giving him like this death glare. Yeah. And Vince is on his phone. And like Kevin's like, when you stand there, you're trying to get a review from your boss, and your boss looks at you and tells you bad news. Kevin was like shocked a little bit, and he's just standing there kind of watching as the next match goes on, and you see Vince just kind of with the headset on, he looks pissed. And Vince is sitting there, and he just says one word to him, no. And Kevin Owens kind of sits there for a minute, like kind of wondering what to say, like, that awkward look, like you want to ask more questions, but the boss is pissed. And Vince, obviously, from what we said,
and he's in Gorilla, so
exactly,
he's watching other things. He's got a million things going on.
Exactly. So Kevin looks a little bit shaken by it, and it said in the piece that it was the first time that Vince was not happy, and he basically let him know it too. Vince looked stern. Yeah. So if you get a chance to watch it, it's about 45 minutes. It kind of just goes through. People said, they thought it would go more in depth. It kind of was surface stuff, but it was really revealing too a little bit about the inner workings of how a wrestler thinks about where he's at in the card, what he's doing, and what Kevin Owens is, battle with himself is, because he knows he's got talent. He knows what he's capable of. And when he disappoints, he's down on himself. And I'll tease an ending. The ending was pretty good, because they ask him how he feels after SummerSlam 2017. He gets a text from an ex-superstar, and it brightens up his mood. So it's a really good watch. Watch it, and we'll check in with it next week. But it was really interesting. But man, Vince, because look at it too.
Vince is an interesting.
But do you remember
character himself?
I thought people were asking, like, that match was pretty decent. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho at Mania was pretty decent.
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember it.
Check it out.
But
maybe
I think it was good.
It wasn't like.
I mean, here's the thing, I love everything Chris Jericho does.
Yeah,
and Kevin Owens is pretty good himself.
But it might be one of those things where maybe a move wasn't executed properly, or the way the story evolved wasn't done right. But Vince is a stickler, and that's what people say is tough too. Is that the guy pulls no punches. If he's not happy, he'll come and tell you. But
he's an interesting dude, man.
But you know what it is? He's like, you kind of know. He's like that boss that will rip you a new asshole, like a Dick Butkus, like a Mike Ditka. But at the end of the day, if he knows you're down, he'll give you that hug and say, look, I'm proud of you for being one of the guys. But he's a perfectionist.
He's a guy, too, where he wants you to challenge him.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get, like, if you think you're doing something right, or you don't like the direction of something, he wants you to sit there and pipe up. If you don't pipe up, you don't stand up for yourself, he's like a bully. He'll just sit there and keep running over you and running over you and running over you.
And you could see sometimes some of the boys really have that respect for Vince McMahon. And when you don't get the validation of the boss, you start questioning yourself because, oh shit, at any time, they've seen it before. If Vince sours on you, you're going to be in the bottom of the card. You're going to be losing. You're going to have less TV time. So people like AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal will say, look, Vince is easy to talk to. He sometimes will not back down at ideas. You have to sometimes really hammer a point home, and he might disagree and end up still doing whatever Vince wants because he's the boss. The man knows wrestling, but at the same time, he also is down for new ideas and will listen. And I would kind of want to see more of like that. I want to see Vince McMahon saying, then I wish they would have cut to Vince saying, I was upset. This move was called. We wanted the story to progress this way. I wanted to know why. And they left it hanging. You just wonder, why, first of all, was he mad? What in that matchup was bad? And, like, how does he treat his wrestlers, like, behind the scenes like that? I would love to see, like, a botched...
If they could do, like, a 365 Vince McMahon.
We'd love to see Vince
That'd
McMahon. That'd be great to see, like, some beefs or some, like, a talent coming in saying, this gimmick sucks. You know, maybe the Fandango and Tyler Breeze come in and be like, dude, really, are we going to be the foil of this, show every week? And Vince would be like, yeah, guys, you guys are over. You guys are great. And they're like, dude, we want to fucking wrestle. And they're like, no, you're just going to go out there in pre-shows. That's probably... And then you sit back, and then he's sitting around the table with the boys, and he's like, Fandango, Breeze, yeah, they're good foil. Okay, keep them there. and they're like passionate about, yeah, we got these great ideas. We're going to do this, and this presented to Vince. And Vince is already in the background going, oh, no, these guys are just going to be in the pre-show. They're going to... Plan the next skit. I want to see that dichotomy where the hopes of the wrestler versus the boss going, no.
You just want to see dudes get crushed.
Yeah, dudes get crushed. All right, great podcast, sir. I feel better. I was disappointed by SmackDown. I'm hoping these new angles kind of kick off, but...
Don't worry. In the coming weeks, I think it gets better. There's going to be a big trade coming up.
Yes.
It'll probably happen either before Royal Rumble or it's going to happen, I think, after Clash of Champions is when it's probably going to happen.
And
so
if you follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, we always talk wrestling. Feel free to message. And a funny moment after Survivor Series, after they are off the air going on to the next show, Triple H runs into the Titantron. He botched it. So that was funny, kind of apropos for what people were thinking. Like, dude, you're hogging up the time. And Taz, I think, mentioned it. He did a hashtag, stay in your suit.
Yeah.
So people are not happy that Triple H is still taking some time.
I don't.
Dude's 50 years old.
I don't get it, man. Like, the roster is so big right now.
You don't need him.
You don't need him. Kurt Angle doesn't necessarily need to be in there.
Yeah.
It's just John Cena. If John Cena's filming a movie, let him film his damn movie.
Right.
He doesn't need to be in there. Randy Orton, I don't need to see any more Randy Orton matches. I like Randy Orton, but not that much.
You have, and it kind of also plants the seed in your major talent, like, you don't believe in us? You need John Cena. You need Triple H. You need Kurt Angle. All right, let's get out of here. See everybody next week. This show will be available every Friday. DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
I am the Doc, and that is... No.